Hello, I'm Storm Usry. I'm originally from Gallup, New Mexico. I'm currently the Conservation Education Manager for the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish. I started my career as a game and fish officer, or game warden, or conservation officer. I also worked as the wild turkey biologist for a short while in our state. I've worked various areas around New Mexico. I trained in Las Cruces. I've been stationed in Magdalena, Gallup, Aztec, and Belen as a game warden. And now I work out of our Albuquerque area office as the Conservation Education Manager. I've held various jobs within this agency and feel like I can give you a lot of input on being a conservation officer, or if you're interested in being a wildlife biologist. Currently, as the Conservation Education Manager, I get to go to a lot of fishing events around the state of New Mexico because I supervise our sport fishing educator. If I'm not out there actually doing fishing events, I'm also going out and educating about wildlife. We may get nonprofit groups, church groups, schools wanting us to go in and talk a little bit about wildlife, and I'm happy to do that. Usually I'll take in a wildlife trunk. In the wildlife trunk, I'll usually have hides, skulls, antlers, horns, etc., of various different wildlife species that you may find in and around New Mexico. As a game and fish officer, no day is ever the same. Our game and fish officers around the state, their primary role is to go out and work law enforcement. So that is the brunt of their job. They're going out there and making sure that people are in compliance, whether they're hunting, fishing, or trapping, that they're following game and fish rule and regulation and state statute. They also will go out and help regular law enforcement, especially in our smaller communities. For example, when I was stationed in Magdalena, there wasn't a lot of regular law enforcement officers, and we needed to help each other from time to time. Also, what our wildlife officers get to do, they do go work wildlife complaints. They may get a bear call, cougar call, might be a raccoon, a beaver, a lot of different wildlife species. Our officers are also involved with education within their districts and even statewide. But within their districts, their duty stations, they do teach hunter safety classes. They'll also go talk to groups, much like what I do now as the Conservation Education Manager, but they may get a school group that wants them to go in and talk about a career as a game and fish officer, go participate in a career fair. And it's important that they go do that because that is a part of community policing. The pathway I took to become a conservation officer or to get my foot in the door with the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish, I did obtain my master's degree in biology. Most of the jobs that we have, especially if you're interested in being a game and fish officer or even a wildlife biologist, the minimum degree requirement is just a 4-year degree. I always knew that I wanted to get on with, say, New Mexico Department of Game and Fish. I always enjoyed being outdoors as a young person. We would always go camping, fishing. As I got older, I got into hunting. I got into wildlife photography, but I was always happiest in the outdoors. How high school prepared me for the various careers I've had within New Mexico Department of Game and Fish. I know that I had certain teachers or educators that would try to share some life experience with you. And I think that when they do that, it may not be specifically the coursework that you're studying that day, but really take it to heart and listen to them, because some of that wisdom they're trying to pass along to you could be very beneficial. So whenever they're trying to share that, be courteous and give them the time and know that they're talking from experience. If you're interested in being a conservation officer, I definitely encourage you to focus on your biology, your math, your sciences, your chemistry. Public speaking is important. I know for me in high school, when I took public speaking has never been easy for me. But when I took it in high school, that was the first time I'd ever got up in front of people and spoke, and I would get extremely nervous. And as time went on, I got better with it. And when I got into college, I became more comfortable with it. And today I actually love it. I love getting up in front of people and talking either about my job or educating about wildlife. But it's those initial baby steps and what you're learning in high school, if you will, with some of that coursework that maybe you've never dealt with in your life. And be willing to come outside of your shell. Some of that coursework or some of those classes in high school may be the first time you're ever seeing that. And if you struggle a little bit, just know that you can go get help. Other things I did when I was high school aged, I did participate in 4-H. I felt like that was extremely important. I did participate in some sports, and I feel like that I did learn a lot from those. I actually didn't play football, baseball, basketball, track, anything like that, but I did rodeo, and that was pretty important for me, getting to meet a lot of different folks within that realm. And yeah, you learn a lot. So I know one thing that I learned when I did rodeo is there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers. And when you win, you need to win with humility and be humble. And when you lose, you're gracious, but you're person enough to make sure to be the first one in line to congratulate that individual that maybe beat you that day. And it's important to do that later on in life. I feel like it's extremely important. If you're interested in being a game and fish officer, maybe a wildlife biologist, feel free to talk to any of our staff at New Mexico Department of Game and Fish. You can Google New Mexico Department of Game and Fish, find our public website. There is a call center. Feel free to give them a holler. Just tell them, hey, I'm a high school student. I'm interested in a career as a game and fish officer, or I'm interested in a career as a wildlife biologist. And we will get you in contact with someone that can share or give some of that information and hopefully kind of give you some guidance to be able to do that in your life.